Hi everyone, I'm Hillary Halstead Scott, and I'm here with Erica Stice, our Halstead Studio
Hi
Coordinator.
everyone.
Hi, thanks for joining us. We are really excited to talk to you today about one of the worst things in the jewelry studio, right?
Yes,
Tangled chain. Tangled chain, it's the worst, right?
absolutely the worst. I've been here 14 years and it's the only thing here I hate.
Yes, that's right. You can hear people screaming up from the warehouse every once in a while if they drop something. It's a drag. We've been there. We hear you. And we are going to give you some great tips today to help you prevent chain from tangling.
Yep.
And how to kind of grin and bear it and get through it as best you can when it does tangle. We're going to give you some tips and tricks to take the headaches out of untangling your chain.
And you know, this has really grown too because the process has changed since I've been downstairs.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like you kind of learn as you go and see what works. And we have a great system right now, I think, downstairs.
We do. After all these years of untangling chain, I think we finally got it. But let's get right to it. So first off, we're going to share some tools and some techniques for you when you do get one of these horrible chain snarls. Are you ready? So we've got one over here. Okay, so look at this.
I know. Roll your eyes now.
Oh, it's bad,
awful.
right? It's this big snarl of finished chain. All the clasps are intertwined, and it's just a knot. It's a huge knot.
Huge knot. And it's going to take a long time to untangle.
It will. It'll take some time. But some tips right off the bat. One thing you never, ever want to do when you have a snarl of chain is just to grab an end and pull.
Yep.
That's kind of the worst thing you can do because all it does is it tightens up this knot here. And it makes it even harder to work at and untangle. So never ever like pull or yank. Like as soon as you yank something, you've just like crunched everything together, right?
Yes.
So a rack like this is super helpful. And there, you can get a rack or you can use pegboard. What are some other ideas? I've seen people do this in a lot of ways. I've seen nails. I know someone who has just a piece of plywood in their studio with some nail heads sticking out of it, so you can kind of stretch your knot across it like this. But basically the approach is that you want to spread out the tangle as much as you can. So you want to kind of gently work it loose and get it so that you can kind of put some ends spread wide apart on some nail heads or some pegs, so you can kind of get at the knot and start feeding things through. What do you think, Erica?
I know. She'll get stuck.
I do.
She gets really involved in it. But I also know you shouldn't undo all of these spring rings or lobster claws too.
That's
that'll
right.
make it worse.
That's
so
a
if you
great
work
tip.
on one, that's the best. Untangle the one and then work on the next one. Unhook them one at a time.
Yeah, but generally speaking, you do want to leave the chains clasped. And I think it's tempting to unhook them and think it's all going to just fall loose, but it really makes it worse. Another great tip is to use either sticks or skewers. These are like shish kebab skewers you can get at the grocery store. They've got a nice pointed tip. You could do the same thing with like a knitting needle or...
These actually are my go-to tool when I untangle chain is the skewers. I love them. They won't damage your chain, and they're really easy to use to try and break up those knots.
That's right, because what you want to do with this pointed tip is kind of work it into the center of that snarl. And I don't know if you can see on camera there, but it's already like creating a space around the snarl where I can kind of see and work things loose. And while I'm doing that, I'm just gently using my fingers to really slowly and carefully just kind of loosen the knot. And the more you have it spread out, you can start seeing chains that are in front and behind, and you can start kind of feeding these loose ends through to kind of work away at that knot. And it does take time, but these skewers will help you. And it almost gives you like a third hand, right? Because you've got your pegs, you've got your fingers, you've got your skewer, and then you can kind of just work at it from lots of different angles, right?
Yep, and the more pegs you have, the better it's going to be too.
That's right. The more pegs are better.
Throwing wood on nails is perfect.
It is. Nails on a piece of plywood, man.
Yep.
It's like a great studio tool, I'm telling you. So these are some just really simple things you can have around to help you solve this problem. Now, when we've posted about tangles in the past, we've gotten suggestions from other users. So Erica, show some of the things people brought up.
So we have gotten some interesting feedback that cornstarch will work, and also an oil, either an olive oil or a coconut oil that won't damage your chain, can work too to loosen up the tangles. Hillary? Now they have tested this downstairs and it's very, very messy, but some of them swear by it. So, with our logistics department. So,
it creates a cleanup step. I mean, that's the trade-off, right?
Yeah.
So I would say my recommendation is try something like the pegboard first.
Yeah.
See what you can do. If you aren't making any headway and you're at the point of scrapping out the chain, I mean, at that point, it's probably worth trying something like cornstarch and oil, but you are really going to have to run things through, you know, a degreaser, a tumbler. You're going to have to polish them up afterwards because you can't give it to a customer with all that
Yeah.
gunk on there. That's kind of a problem, right?
That kind of makes me cringe to think of the cleanup.
The
of
cleanup
oil.
makes me cringe too,
But if it works, you know what? It's worth it.
that's right. Desperate times, desperate measures.
Yep.
But ideally, what you really want to do is prevent these tangles from happening to start with, right?
Absolutely.
So storage is really half the battle. And let's start talking about footage chain. Because footage chain, I mean, it tangles just like finished chain, right? And I brought up an example of some kind of chunky, hefty footage chain, so I can show you one of the cardinal rules of chain storage. If you have footage chain on a spool, you always want to store it like this. So you can either put it on a rod that runs through the center of the spool, or you can just rest it in a bin or on a shelf, but always, always store your spools like wheels, okay? And the reason for that is as soon as you tip them sideways, and this is why I chose the big chain, because I'm hoping you can see it, all of these, I'm gonna hold it tight for a second, all of these coils of chain are gonna start to loosen and fall on top of each other and cross over. And as those chain layers cross over, you're creating knots. So this
Yeah.
is how tangles happen on footage chain, is storing it on the ends, right?
Right. Absolutely. So we've kind of solved that by storing all of ours on spools when it's long.
Right, and we always store our spools like this. And the second tip on spools is to tightly tape them between uses. If you leave a loose tail like this, you're gonna get more and more slack on the spool. And that slack, as you maneuver the spool around, again, causes those layers and coils of chain to cross over and not entangle.
And we just use Scotch tape.
Yep.
Something really simple.
Really simple, just Scotch tape. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just have a little spool of Scotch tape near your chain storage area and tape those ends every time. Look, you can see what I'm talking about right now. You're starting to get these slack layers, and that is trouble right there. As soon as you see that, you probably want to like unwind your chain, coil it up again, take care of it right away. Don't put it off till later, or you're going to come back and it's going to be a mess. So this is a pretty easy chain to untangle, but you can imagine this
Yeah.
effect with a teeny tiny fine cable.
I was going to say, I'm glad you brought this up because
Yeah.
as soon as you tilt it, you saw all the layers drop. Exactly what you don't want to happen. But you have a 1 millimeter chain, and
Yeah, forget
you're
it.
in trouble.
You are in trouble. That's right. So chain storage, be really smart and use spools, right?
Yes. So this is a small one. It's tightly wound with the Scotch tape and marked. And that's how we store it. And we sell lots of these downstairs too, of whatever type you'd like. So we have a lot of spools for sale, and this is the way to go when you have footage chain for sure.
That's right. And of course, you can always recycle these, reuse them,
Oh, yeah.
store them in a box and come back to them. So if you have little bits of chain, you want to put them on a stool instead of just dropping them in a baggie or using twist ties. So, I mean, these
Yes.
are kind of better than nothing, but not much better than nothing, right?
This is what we used when I was here, when I was in logistics. This is what we use. So
We've learned over the years, it's not enough. The twist tie is not enough.
yeah, it still has its good things though.
Yeah.
I'm still all for twist ties, but we found better systems, so I like it.
Right. I mean, a twist tie will work on your chunky chains like this.
Yeah.
But on your fine cables, it's probably not the best choice, right?
Yeah.
So we do have some alternatives though, and we've changed the way we package finished chain over the years here at Halstead because of this issue, right? So another tip when you have finished chain is to gather the chain through the clasp and use some sort of catch. So this is a gourd pin. You can use safety pins that you just get at the store.
Yep.
There are larger latches. Again, a lot of these things are available at like craft stores and hardware stores. But anything you
You're
can
a metalsmith,
thread,
you can make it.
You can make it. That's a great idea.
Just
What am I
make
saying?
it.
You make it. That's right. Make it. Hardened wire. So make yourself some little kidney clasps, right? It's
Yep.
really simple. It's just kind of formed wire. And if you gather your finished chain by the clasp, you can see it really helps. Like these layers are a lot less likely to get interlaced and tangled. It makes a big difference.
It really does. And then from there, we just drop it into a plastic bag and it's good to go.
It's good to go. So this does take some extra time, right, to kind of fumble with all of these and thread them through, but I think it's worth it because it saves you time at the end of the day in untangling, right?
Yep. I love the gourd pins.
That's right. And when you put things in your Ziploc bag, you can always add a little silver saver too, and that's gonna help keep tarnish at bay, which is really important, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's some great tips.
Those are
Also-
some great tips. And Erica wrote a fantastic article on this exact same topic, untangling
my
chain. We really encourage you to check out that article on our blog website. It has lots of tips and photos on how to manage this issue.
Yeah, and a lot of horror stories too. So it's got a little something for everybody.
That's right. Misery loves company. Sometimes it's reassuring just to know that we've all been there, right? We've all been there. We've all been stuck untangling
Yes.
chain. You will get through, but with these tips, hopefully it'll never happen to you again. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
Erica.
watching. And you can read our blog post at blog.halsteadbee.com.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.